I'll give this a second for people to trickle in. Okay. So you see constant, endless debates online about effect order. Like, let's say, putting a compressor before an EQ, EQ before a compressor, EQ before a reverb before the EQ. And I think for the most part, if it's a dynamic effect, order matters. Like, I mean, think about it. If you got a high pass filter before a compressor, or it's going to act completely different than if you put the high pass filter after it. And I think in some pitch shifting cases, it's going to make a big difference. But let's say for a reverb, well, it depends. I think, there are pitch shifting reverbs. So what I was going to do is make a little test here with some channels. I'm gonna do some null testing. So first of all, I'm going to turn off the delay and reverb. And I'm just going to have an impulse response. And it's going to be before or after. Actually, let me take out these paths because that could actually make a little bit of trouble. So I'll put the impulse response before or after these other effects. Okay, so let's establish a null first. So I've got everything off except for the impulse response, and these should be identical. Why is it that impulse? Well, that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Make sure it's the same one. So they got the same level, same high pass filter. Let's get that out of here. Let's get the let's take the filters out of here just in case. So -7, 100% mix, same impulse. So this should be identical. So I'm going to flip the polarity on one of these guys. And if I feed a test tone through, we should get a total null, right? So let me make that right now. So I'm going to send to both of these guys, and I'm going to take the test tone out of the master, so it's only going through the effects here. So let's put the MDA has like a good test tone. Could do a 1K. Oh, that's going to be annoying. But let's do it. Okay. So if I turn this guy off, you can hear that test tone. But if I have them both on, they are nulling each other out 1000% completely. There are a couple things that can happen. There's some random elements, but let's -142. Pretty far down there. In fact, let's take the effects out of here and see where it nulls to. So -infinity. There's something going on in the helix that's making it so it doesn't completely null. But -144, I don't really care about, right? Let's try. Let me just put a some sort of meter on here. What do I have? Maybe span. Let's do span. And let's get this in stereo mastering. And so I'll just leave this here so we can have a look at what's going to happen. I'm going to change the bottom to something way down there. -66. Let's go to -180. So there's some sort of noise floor or something that these amp sims are making. So if I take this out of there, but I would like this to fall a lot faster. Let's see if I can do that. So slow. Let's go for. Well, we're okay. Let's just leave this be. So if I turn these guys back on, there'll be some sort of noise down at the very bottom here, minus 168 or something. Okay, we don't care about this. All right, so let's actually put this to a range where it actually matters, where we're gonna actually hear it. I'm gonna take it a little bit further. We're not gonna hear 144 either. I think on the Helix, the most it can duck is like 66 decibels or something like that. So whatever. We're looking on this meter here. Nothing to write home about. But if I do mute one of these guys, we'll see it on the meter. Okay, so let us shrink this up a little bit. Just so we can see, and we won't need this meter over here. All right, so now I'm going to turn on the reverb. Okay, so now there's a difference because one's got a reverb and one's off. Okay, so I'm going to turn this one's reverb on. Okay, we're still hearing something, and I have a feeling that has to do with starting and stopping. Let's take the IRs out of the equation, make sure the reverb's null. Okay. So what is this? This reverb is doing some stereo stuff, which seems a little screwy to me. All right. Because this reverb's stereo, this is actually going to make some trouble. Oh, boy. Okay. Let's see. That's a mono. No, that is a stereo delay. Hold on, I'm going to copy the delay over from here. That was an interesting sound, huh? So I'm going to turn the delays off. All right, so we're still seeing this. You see this difference between left and right on this reverb? I'm not happy about that, actually. I was going to use this reverb in my preset. I'm not sure. Is it still tilted? No. So something's going on with this reverb. And I don't know if it could be frequency, but it is definitely tilted. So let's go with one of the new reverbs. I'm not sure how much these eat. This is too dynamic Hall. And I'm just going to do the same one on both of these. Okay. Okay, so we're getting a difference here. Okay, now these should null when I turn this back on. And there's a chance there's some sort of random something that's doing this. So maybe what I want to do is, hold on, I'm going to get something where I can just keep going back. Let's do, So I'm just going to apply effects here. This way I can get the same thing every time. So I'm going to get rid of that. So now I can see. I'm wondering if there's like a random seed thing going on here with these reverbs. So let me loop this. I have a feeling there's an oscillator or something in here. Let's look. Motion. What is motion? Let's take motion out of here. Something is going on here because they're not nulling, and I don't have them in a different order. Okay, so I might have to do this by sending to the same reverb. Well, this is a little bit tricky to get this test exactly right. So let's think about this. So let me make a reverb channel. I'm gonna put this guy in there. Okay. So I'm gonna take the other reverbs out. Okay, and the trouble's gonna be, how am I gonna do this? So I want to be able to send to this reverb, and I want it to be able to either have the speaker go in front or the speaker after. It's not really gonna work, actually. See, it's, doing the test correctly, it really does take some doing. Okay, notice now it's nulling. Why is that? Okay, so now they're completely nulled. Let's turn on the impulses. So here's the one before, and here's the one after. Completely nulled. Okay. So I'm not sure what was making it so I couldn't really test that reverb correctly, but now it's working. Whatever doing that. Okay. So it doesn't seem to matter if we put the IR before or after the reverb. Again, if this thing has pitch component to it, I think it would. Let's turn this motion back up though. And that might make this whole thing start over again where I can't yeah, it's so weird how that worked before, huh? I have a feeling this motion is some sort of chorus thing, and that might be. Okay, now before this was nulling perfectly, so what's going on now? What do I have to do? Because when I removed it and then put it back in, that's when it nulled correctly. So let me try that again. Yeah, now it doesn't. Okay, let me move it from both. Put it back into both. Okay, now it's nulled. Okay, so let me try that with the motion again. That didn't seem to. Okay, motion doesn't seem to be. Oh, okay, so it's not playing. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna ditch them both, and then I'm gonna re-add them. Okay, so that seems like motion's doing something. Might be on a random seed. So let me take that back off again. I'm gonna ditch it. Ditch it. Put it back in. Put it back in. Interesting. It went for a second, then it croaked. Right. So there's probably something in that motion that's doing it, and I think we're gonna have the same problem with the chorus. But let's turn on the delay now. One second, I gotta check one up. Oh, you got a lesson? No. Oh. Oh. Yeah, should be a whole bunch of people here pretty soon. Oh, really? Yeah, she has older. Really? That's just the band that you went. Yeah, she homeschools with us. You guys live out there, or you live? No, we live in California. Oh, okay. On Mondays, she got a band that she practices with on Mondays. Yeah, Nirvana. Never mind. She usually goes to the skate park then. Good. Her and she's on a different motivation level. I used to have little kid bands like Lenore. Her oldest just used to play them when I had them. They were playing like 3 or 4 shows a week. They were crazy. They had all the PA gear in that closet over there, so they would wheel it over to board riders, set up, so they had to know how to set up their own PA and stuff. They had hundreds of songs. They played their last show at the Blade Show, opening up the Blade Show. That was it. And so Lenore kept going. So like Evangeline's playing in the bands with the kids here, but she would like to do the little lot. So CCS play 1 or 2 songs. They'll have like a show every couple months and stuff. Whereas Evangeline wants to go every week. Oh yeah. It'd be nice to have somebody that there that's. I had talked to a lady on the phone about everything is messing up with her. This summer we're doing a couple trips. Still. Oh yeah. Do you have like a street menu? Played like an AC/DC band. She got her own band. She played that one too. Oh, cool. Yeah, go. Like, put it in like YouTube or Instagram or something. Lenore the Shredder, or just put it in Google. You'll find. That's what her mom told me. There's one where she's on the Steve Harvey show. No way, really? You got to talk to Aaron Smith to try and figure out stuff. Right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think really good. This is DJ class. Oh yeah, I think he's gonna do his first one today. Oh. Yeah, it's gonna be about 5 o'clock. 5 or Yeah, if you call her, she can tell you when they're gonna be around. Okay, sorry about that. I got there's always people coming by. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand why it was nulling and now it's not nulling. Oh wait, okay, this is the delay. Never mind. Let me make sure the delays are both on. All right, there we go. Okay, so before or after both the delay and the reverb, doesn't matter where you put this impulse, right? But I think for sure, when you talk about something like a pitch shifter, that's going to make a big difference. But we'll check that in a second. I want to try this chorus because there's a modulation element to it. There's a random element to it. Unless they start on the same seed, I have a feeling they're going to be quite different. If we look on span, where is it? You can see when it's overlapping. I don't think it's the impulse that's doing this. In fact, let's test that. So I'm going to take the impulse out. Okay, so the choruses aren't nulling no matter what. So that's another thing. So we got to find a way to deal with that. Perhaps the same thing as with the reverb, where take it off and then add it back on. Interesting that it sounds... Oh, wait a second. This is the wrong chorus. All right, hold on. Let me get this. Change this to the mono chorus. There we go. If it's there, it is pitifully tiny. Okay, so you see these aren't nulling themselves regardless of the IR is not there. Let's make just the choruses and still they aren't nulling, right? Close, but not quite. Okay, so I'm going to take these off. I'm going to add them back on. I don't know how to restart a random seed or restart where the modulation would start or whatever. But we could do a we could just use the meter, right? And let's see where this is going. So it's going like below, let's say it's going to this minus 30 about. And so if we turn on the impulses, this is going to go back to minus 30. I guess that's what we really need to tell. They are slightly different. In this case, it seems to matter a little bit, maybe, if the impulse is before or after. Maybe. Then again, we are adding level, which is a problem for telling that. I really wish I could get this choruses to null first. Then we really be able to tell. Yeah, everything's the same. So it's this is actually a problem with a lot of modulation type plugins. Like, where does the modulation start? Where does the LFO start? So it's a very tricky thing to be sure that you're gonna start at the same time for the modulation curve. Here I am waving my hands. This is doing no good whatsoever. But this is pretty close. I don't think. I think there's gonna be a. Let's just see. Is there gonna be a level difference when I put the IRs in? So, so this is track 4. So let me just solo this so we're not getting any phase tricks. Okay, so here's our level. There's our level without the IR. So the IR is adding some volume or some level, but it's frequency dependent, so we can't really null it out completely. Ah, boy, this is really, it is, like I say, it's really tricky to do. Sometimes it's really tricky to do testing correctly. But you see, these IRs definitely null each other out like they should, like any static EQ should. And like we saw, the reverb and delay nulled each other out, so that's good. So it's really up to the chorus. I don't care too much, even if it was going to be slightly different, but I don't really think it is. I think it's where the modulation is starting. They're not modulations aren't synced. If there's a way to sync the modulations, I don't know. I don't think there is, the way that VST stuff works. So the other one is, let's just real quick try a change this to a pitch shifter. Let's do basic harmony. Okay. That is horrible, but it should be fine for our purposes. So one's gonna be before and one's gonna be after. So first of all, let's see if they null. And they don't. Why is that? These should definitely null. All right. That is screwy. Let's do a simple pitch. Make a mix of 100. Okay, now this is screwy. This should absolutely positively null. There's one thing that happens every once in a while. Okay, check this out. 16 samples of latency. Every once in a while, I see that the latency changes on Helix, and I don't know what does that. So let me turn it off and turn it back on. Yeah, this shouldn't be. Let me take a very good look. Okay, sorry. I'm going to turn this off. I'll be right back. If anybody can think of how this is not nulling, let me know. I'll be right back. All right. Anyone have any ideas why this isn't nulling? This is well, let me take these off real quick and let me put in an instance of repitch, for instance. Repitch. And let's just do 2 semitones, and I'll copy that to the other track. So it should be the same thing. Okay, and then when I flip the polarity, got nothing, right? Nothing, 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 nothing. So that's how a pitch should work. So not quite sure what's going on with the helix here, but let's okay, mix 100, interval 7. Interesting how it makes one of the pitches go away. Oh, that's never mind. That's not true. Let's do 1 semitone. Interesting that it gets worse the further it gets from 0. Let's try an octave real quick and see what happens. Yeah, at an octave, they almost don't null at all. What could be causing this, right? Like this, these should be on the same. This should be exactly the same. Let me pull the pitches off and see if the latency changes. Still 16. Take it off and put it back on. There's something that causes this samples to go from 0 to 16 or 7 or whatever. Don't know a way to lock these up, but I mean, okay, let's turn the impulses back on. And look, we get nothing. We got a total null. So something is happening in the pitch. Try poly pitch. Now look at that. When I put them in polarity, they cancel out more. So something's going on here. There's a something, some sort of like LFO or some sort of modulation thing that's happening here that's causing these to desync. So let me try what we're doing with the reverb. I'm gonna pull it, re-add it. And now polarity flipped, it has more cancellation. But I really think that okay, sorry. So that this in this case it does seem to make a pretty big difference where the impulse is. Like watch. So this is at minus 48, minus 50, whatever. Turn the impulses on. And we know the impulse is null, but look at that. It barely nulls now. It's so it's sounding different. Let's see if we can hear the difference, or maybe we can see it in span. Okay, so let me take the polarity out. So here is the pitch with it before. I wonder if I could do 2 spans and actually get, yeah, you know, we could do that. That's after. This sure seems pretty much the same. Okay, I'm gonna do something that pretty cool that span lets you do. Well, look at that now. Now the polarity, now it's mostly canceling with the polarity out. Oh, this is so bizarro. All right. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. So I'm gonna make a span track. call span compare and pull up instance of span. Okay. And then we're going to put span on each of these guys. Okay, so we're going to call this 4. That's going to be 1. And this is going to be after. This is really cool with span. It's going to be 2. Okay, so I don't need these anymore. And now let's just span compare. I'm going to import 4. And I'm going to import after. And okay, need to change colors here. Okay, so they're pretty much overlapping. So it's what that's telling me is the only thing that's not nulling about these is the time. Something's happening at a different time than something else. And I bet you if we could look at the waveforms themselves, we would see that. So let's check that out. I'm going to have this record the output. You can do mono. Mono. Forward, output, mono. Okay, now watch this. I have a feeling this is going to be something pretty interesting. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on here. These should be completely lined up with each other. I'm going to turn the effects off. Flip the polarity of one of them. Now there's a difference. Let's just look where they line up. So here's about the middle, and that's not. So they're not in time with each other. It's funny that with the just the impulses. Actually, let's test this theory before I get this completely wrong. I'm going to turn off the pitch and just leave the impulses on. Try this recording again. Okay, so this is just the impulse, and let's listen to it. Now it's nulling to 124, which is pretty damn good, but something is different here. Hard to see what, but 124 decibels down I don't care about, but that does tell you something. So it seems like pitch, not only I can't null it, which sucks, but it sure seems like it makes a difference to the pitch when where the impulse is, if it's before or after. But I can't tell for sure because I can't get them to null. I really have to get them to null in order to give a really good account for it. But it seems like you know why? Let me get a little bit higher up in this thing. Switch the range. 0. Okay, so here we are right now. And if I, it's at about -18, just a little bit above. Now if I turn off the impulses. If I turn off the impulses, it's not nulling, but it's a lot quieter. It's weird that we're seeing this though, because it's not showing on the output, barely showing anything. And if I go to the master span, here's span on the output. You can see something little there. So I'm not sure why. Okay, because this is before they touch each other. Here's the resulting output. And it's way down there. But if I turn on the impulses, here's the output. Pretty high. So it is making a difference. I swear I remember it really crapping out if you put the pitch shifter after the harmonizer. I mean, if you put the impulse after the harmonizer compared to before the harmonizer. Like, in one case you're pitch shifting the EQ'd speaker range. So like let's say you did a low pass filter and then you pitch shifted the thing, you would actually go above where the filter was. So I could see the pitch doing a lot. I don't think the chorus cares. I don't think the reverb doesn't seem to care. So what I was doing is I want to make a just in case I have a problem, I want to have a way to send before the impulse response, so that I could, if I have to go into a cabinet that actually has a speaker on it. So I think in my case, I'll be fine to put the send right before the IR block. So I'm going to give that a try. And thank you guys for coming on this exploratory journey with me. I know some of you guys probably got your DSP down and you would say, well, duh, it's blah, 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 blah. But, I wasn't sure. And it doesn't hurt to try it, right? I mean, testing it is not a bad idea. So anyways, I'll see you guys.